The man is a complex machine consisting of complex mechanisms of anatomy, cellular structure, biochemistry, and behavior patterns. How did this happen? By chance, by intelligent design, or by natural selection? Richard Dawkins says natural selection is not only a parsimonious, plausible, and elegant solution, it is the only workable alternative to chance that has ever been suggested. Because the designer himself, itself, herself raises the bigger problem of his own origin. Who designed the designer? Darwin said if it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory of evolution would absolutely break down. But I can find no such case. Most scientists are bored by what they have already discovered. It is ignorance that drives them on. It is an essential part of the scientific enterprise to admit ignorance, even to exult in ignorance as a challenge to future conquest. It is therefore unfortunate that the main strategy of creation propagandists is to seek out gaps in scientific knowledge and claim to fill them with intelligent design by default. It is precisely the fact that intelligent design has no evidence of its own, but thrives like a weed in gaps left by scientific knowledge that sits uneasily with science's need to identify and proclaim the very same gaps as a prelude to researching them. Gaps by default in the mind of the creationist are filled by God. Areas where there is a lack of data or a lack of understanding are automatically assumed to belong by default to God. If you don't understand how something works, never mind, just give up and say God did it. You don't know how the nerve impulse works? Good. You don't understand how memories are laid down in the brain? Excellent. Is photosynthesis a bafflingly complex process? Wonderful. Please, don't go to work on the problem. Just give up and appeal to God. Dear scientists, don't work on your mysteries. Bring us your mysteries, for we can use them. Don't squander precious ignorance by researching it away. We need those glorious gaps as a last refuge for God. The root of evolution in non-biological chemistry somehow seems to present a bigger gap than any particular transition during subsequent evolution. And in one sense, it is a bigger gap, as our kind of life cannot survive without water. Around a typical star like our Sun, there is a so-called Goldilocks zone, not too hot and not too cold, but just right for planets, like liquid water. The designer theory says that God made the world, placed it in the Goldilocks zone. Liquid water is a necessary condition for life, but it is far from sufficient. Life still has to originate in the water. Darwinian evolution proceeds once life was originated. But how does life get started? The evolution of life is a completely different case from the origin of life, because the origin of life was a unique event which had to happen only once. The adaptive fit of species to their separate environments is millionfold and ongoing. We live on a planet that is friendly to our kind of life. The life on our planet has evolved to flourish in the conditions provided by the planet. This is because of natural selection. And the anthropic principle says that there are billions of planets in the universe. And however small the minority of evolution-friendly planets may be, our planet necessarily has to be one of them. Physicists have calculated that if the laws and constants of physics had been even slightly different, the universe would have been developed in such a way that life would have been impossible. The theist says that God, when setting up the universe, turned the fundamental constants of the universe so that each one lay in its Goldilocks zone for the production of life. The anthropic answer is that we could only be discussing the question in the kind of universe that was capable of producing us. Our existence determines that the fundamental constants of physics had to be in their respective Goldilocks zone. As a matter of fact, the theist could claim that God is a very elegant, economical, and fruitful explanation for the existence of the universe. It is economical because it attributes the existence and nature of absolutely everything in the universe to just one being, the ultimate cause which assigns a reason for the existence of everything including itself. It is elegant because from one key idea, the idea of the most perfect possible being, the whole nature of God and the existence of the universe can be intelligibly explicated.